we're starting again. Everyone's had a long off-season, so when you had a long off-season, you look at different things tactically, technically, what can you do a bit different, and I think psychology is a big part of it. So when we frame that to the players now, it's, you know, what we've done before is not as important as what we do next, and I think, you know, that's our starting again ethos, and it's good. For us, it's almost like a hybrid between what we did in year one when we went to the Dominican Republic and trained and had a camp there and played some games, to the island games where there's points on the line. We've got to use that as a fusion of both. So we won't have everybody ready to start with, but when we get home, hopefully, you know, we've still got faces and pieces to add and improve as we get go. So we're as ready as we can be, and I think what we'll do is we've got a calculated way of approaching the start of this season, so that we see it as the long race, because you don't win the Shield by winning your first game. So this one's a marathon, not a sprint. With having so many days off from the off-season, you've actually got to go back to basics. You've got to learn to train. We got them just getting into, you know, slow and steady. It's probably been the slowest and longest start to any pre-season I've ever been involved in. But it was a needs must. We made sure that we have to, because if you go in too high, too tempo, and we like to play in that sort of way, the players will break down. So that's been the biggest learning. And then the second part is, you know, the mentality of the players. Everybody's come through this COVID suppression in different ways. You know, there's a lot of restrictions out there, and rightly so in the health aspect, but also mental health plays a picture. So are the players right? Do we check in with them? Is everything good at home? You know, can they convert that to being on the pitch? Because, you know, a happy player at home is a happy player on the pitch as well. The biggest challenge to communication is the players only really allowed to get together when we actually get on the pitch. So, you know, everybody's got to be spread out on arrival, and everybody comes in at different arrival times, you know, socially distancing. So you never really have that, you know, that opportunity to work on what we've always liked is the team bonding. You know, it's a band of brothers, if you will. And for us, that's been a tough one. You can have as many Zoom meetings as you want or FaceTimes, but there's nothing, you know, like being across from one another, being around your mates and having just a little bit of a card game or a bit of banter. You know, more points are won on team chemistry than they are on tactics, in my humble opinion. So it's been a process, and again, it's that drip feed of trying to make sure that in little groups you try and have a social element in there, whether it's, you know, the rondos or the fun warm-ups. You try to bring out players' personalities, because I'll say we've got three tranches of players really. You've got your original players that have been here, you've got the new players from, you know, outside that have never played in the Canadian Premier League, and then you've got the guys like, you know, Novak, Davy Norman and Joe DiChiara that have come in from other clubs within the league. And that last tranche, it's as though they've always played for us, because they understand the league, they understand the environment coming in. And then the international, or the guys that have come from outside, your Richard Lucas, Dan Clomps, Tom Fields, they're adapting in a different way to life in Canada. The quarantine that they have to go through, where they've been will not be like where they're coming to. So we've got to make sure that we have them migrate as swiftly as possible, and that takes time. So I said, we know going into the kickoff, we're not going to be our perfect version of ourselves, but every game gives us a chance to work toward that. Next few weeks, I'm just looking forward to playing, competing. I mean, we play in these practice games, they're not the same. As much as we want them to be the same, they can replicate a little bit, but there's nothing like, you know, when there's 3 points on the line, there's another jersey in front of you, it's just competing. We all have that adrenaline, that's why we're involved in professional sports. We have that adrenaline buzz of the compete, of the playing, of chasing a trophy, and that's no different for us. So for me, that's the sacrifice each of us have got to make, from leaving your families to leaving your place to being in a place that you're confined in. We'll do it because we know what it means to the league, we know what it means to our owners who invest it, we know what it means to our family members, and importantly the fans. You know, they've invested in us just as much. So we're there to compete, we're happy to do so, and we'll do whatever it takes to make sure that we're successful.